The story begins in Finland in the year 1944, when World War II was in its final phase. The war was about to end, and soldiers from all countries were returning to their homes. For this reason, the Nazi army was ordered to withdraw from Finland, but even while retreating, they did not hold back from destruction. They completely destroyed roads, bridges, and settlements that lay in their path. Meanwhile, deep inside Finland's dense forests, we see a commando named Korpi. Korpi was exhausted by the bloodshed of war and wanted to abandon fighting to live a peaceful life. After the war ended, he began living alone in the forest with his loyal dog and horse. One day, while wandering through the forest, Korpi noticed shimmering pieces of gold in a river. Seeing this, he realized that there must be a gold mine nearby. After that, Korpi started visiting the place every day and began digging in the surrounding area. He did not care at all about fighter planes flying overhead. After many days of hard work, he finally discovered a large quantity of gold inside a pit. Seeing the gold, tears of joy filled Korpi's eyes because he knew his life could now completely change. He hid the gold inside his tent and stayed awake all night guarding it, fearing that someone might come and steal it. The next morning, Korpi packed all the gold into a bag, mounted his horse, and set off. His loyal dog followed closely behind him. After traveling for a few hours, he encountered Nazi General Bruno, who was advancing with his soldiers. Bruno had a powerful tank with him, and several Finnish women were also with the group, women whom the Nazi soldiers were forcibly taking along. In reality, these soldiers were exploiting the women to satisfy their physical desires. During this time, we see a Nazi soldier named Wolf who was assaulting a woman. Korpi witnessed everything with his own eyes, but he did not want to get involved in trouble, so he ignored Bruno and his men and continued moving forward. Moments later, Wolf raised his gun to kill Korpi, but Bruno stopped him. According to Bruno, the old man was already close to death anyway. As Korpi moved further ahead, he saw many dead bodies along the road. All of them had been killed by Nazi soldiers. However, Korpi was unaffected because during the war, he himself had brutally killed many people in the same way. Moving forward, Korpi came across a truck carrying for Nazi soldiers. They ordered him to get off his horse. Their attention quickly fell on Korpi's bag. Suspecting something, they opened it and were shocked to see the gold inside. At that moment, Korpi realized that they would loot his gold and then kill him. So first, he ordered his dog to run away. Seeing the dog escape, one soldier fired shots at it, but the dog managed to flee. Next, one soldier tried to shoot Korpi, but Korpi immediately pulled out his knife and threw it into the soldier's head, killing him on the spot. The remaining soldiers attacked him, but Korpi used his knife to kill them one by one. He even used one soldier as a human shield to protect himself from bullets. When the last surviving soldier tried to grab Korpi from behind, Korpi twisted his arm and used the soldier's own gun to shoot him, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, when Bruno and his men heard the sound of gunfire, they turned back to investigate. But by the time they reached the spot, Korpi had already disappeared. Bruno then saw that his entire unit had been slaughtered. At the same time, he noticed a piece of gold in one of the dead soldiers' pockets. He immediately realized that the old man was responsible for killing his men and that he was carrying a large amount of gold. From that moment on, Bruno decided to chase Korpi. After a short while, Bruno spotted Korpi on the road and instantly began firing at him with his tank. Seeing this, Korpi urged his horse to run faster and tried to escape. In the process, he unknowingly entered a minefield that had been laid by Nazi soldiers. Bruno ordered his men to stop shooting and laughed, saying that the old man would blow himself up in just a few moments. Suddenly, Korpi's horse stepped on a mine, causing a massive explosion. Korpi was badly injured, and his horse lost its life in the blast. Bruno came closer and saw Korpi picking up his gold and putting it back into the bag. However, Bruno stopped there and simply watched him. In truth, he was afraid to risk his life by entering the minefield to grab the gold, so he decided to wait for Korpi to die. As soon as Korpi lifted the gold, Bruno ordered his soldiers to kill him. But Korpi was no ordinary soldier. He picked up a stone along with the gold and hurled it directly at a mine, triggering a powerful explosion. Using the smoke from the blast as cover, Korpi hid himself. The Nazi soldiers began firing blindly into the smoke, but Korpi kept protecting himself with the help of a shield. After some time, Bruno sent one soldier to check whether the old man was dead or alive. Suddenly, a mine flew toward the soldier and exploded near him, killing him on the spot. Bruno then sent two more soldiers, but they too were blown apart by the mines. When the smoke finally cleared, they realized that Korpi had escaped once again. This made Bruno furious. Now Bruno decided to use two Finnish women as human shields to cross the minefield. Wolf dragged the most frightened women forward and forced them to walk ahead of the tank. While inspecting the area, Bruno found Korpi's dog tag lying on the ground. A little later, as the Nazi soldiers crossed the minefield, Bruno tried to gather information about Korpi using the radio inside the tank. That's when headquarters warned him that the old man he was chasing was named Korpi, and if he was after him, he should stop immediately. The officer said that they were extremely lucky to have survived even after coming face to face with Korpi. During World War II, Korpi was considered the most dangerous commando, and no one dared to confront him. Bruno also learned learned that Russian soldiers had brutally killed Korpi's entire family during the war. After losing his family, Korpi had completely changed. He became so dangerous that he even disobeyed orders from his senior officers. Eventually, the situation became so extreme that he began hunting Russian soldiers alone in the forest. To this day, Korpi had killed more than 300 Russian soldiers by himself. In the end, the officer clearly told Bruno that most people believed Korpi was immortal, and chasing him was like inviting death. But Bruno was not affected by the warning. He decided to continue pursuing Korpi. In reality, after losing the war, the Nazi army was going to face severe punishment, and Bruno wanted to use the gold to bribe his way out of it. Blinded by greed, he was determined to seize the gold from Korpi at any cost. The story then returns to Korpi. On the way, he came across a burned truck and hid behind it. Using his knife, he pulled the bullets lodged in his body and, groaning in pain, covered his wounds with dirt to stop the bleeding. Shortly afterward, his loyal dog arrived, but Korpi signaled it not to come closer. The dog stayed at a distance, watching him silently. Due to heavy blood loss and exhaustion, Korpi soon fell asleep. A few hours later, Nazi soldiers arrived in the area. Hearing their movement, Korpi woke up and saw that they were using tracking dogs to search for him. Sensing the danger, Korpi immediately hid beneath the truck and carefully observed their every move. As soon as the Nazi truck arrived, Korpi quietly crawled under it and slashed its fuel tank. Soon, petrol began spilling over Korpi's body, masking his scent so completely that the dogs could no longer track him. Left with no other option, the Nazi soldiers came up with a new plan to capture Korpi and set up camp right there. After some time, when Korpi tried to slip away, one of the dogs suddenly spotted him and started barking loudly. This immediately drew the soldiers' attention, and they opened heavy fire on Korpi. During the chaos, a bullet struck his leg. Even then, showing incredible courage, Korpi managed to escape. Seeing this, Bruno released his dogs after Korpi. To save himself from them, Korpi set his own body on fire and jumped into a nearby lake. The soldiers continued firing blindly, but Bruno stopped them and decided to wait for Korpi to come out of the lake. A long time passed, yet Korpi did not surface. When he finally tried to emerge, the soldiers again started firing, forcing him back underwater. Moments later, Korpi spread blood in the lake so that everyone would believe he was dead. Assuming Korpi had died, 3 Nazi soldiers took a boat to the middle of the lake to retrieve the gold. One of them stepped into the water, but suddenly Korpi grabbed him and killed him with his knife. In an instant, the surface of the water turned red with blood. Seeing this horrifying scene, Bruno sent another soldier into the water, but he met the same fate. The third soldier panicked and tried to flee with the boat, but Bruno, enraged, shot him dead on the spot. At that very moment, Korpi emerged from the lake. Using the dead soldier's body as a shield against bullets, he escaped from there. Bruno then noticed Korpi's loyal dog standing helplessly at the lakeshore, crying because it could not reach its master. Seeing the dog, a new and dangerous plan formed in Bruno's mind. On the other hand, after walking continuously for many hours, Korpi finally reached a city, but it was completely destroyed. He was exhausted beyond his limits, so he decided to rest inside a gas station. Enduring the pain in his injured leg, he tried to sleep. During this time, horrifying memories flooded his mind. The day he had lost his entire family. After much struggle, Korpi finally fell asleep. A short while later, he woke up to the sound of his dog barking. As soon as he opened his eyes and met his dog, he realized a terrifying truth. The dog had dynamite tied to its body. Without wasting a second, Korpi removed the dynamite and threw it away. But at that very moment, a massive explosion occurred. The blast threw Korpi violently to the ground, and he lost consciousness. When Korpi regained his senses, he saw Bruno standing before him. Korpi was now a prisoner. Bruno took all of his gold and deliberately left a small piece in his pocket. In the end, Bruno decided to hang Korpi. But Korpi was not dead yet. To avoid death by hanging, he supported his injured foot on a nail fixed in the wooden post. Slowly, he placed his other foot as well. The pain was unbearable, but this is how he saved himself from the noose. His loyal dog sat beside him, silently waiting for its master to come down. In this way, the entire night passed. At dawn, a plane landed there. Due to the strong wind from the plane, the rope tied around Korpi's neck snapped, and he fell to the ground. A short while later, 2 pilots stepped out of the plane in search of fuel. They noticed Korpi and his dog. One pilot told the other to shoot them, but the second pilot hesitated in fear. Taking advantage of this moment, Korpi suddenly attacked the pilot's legs. The pilot lost his balance, fell, and smashed his head against a rock, knocking him unconscious. The other pilot moved forward, but Korpi swiftly picked up a brick and attacked him as well. At that moment, Korpi believed he might never be able to recover his lost gold. He even buried the small gold piece Bruno had left him in the ground. But then he noticed the unconscious pilot. He was still alive. Right then, a new plan formed in Korpi's mind. He decided to use this pilot's plane to reach Bruno and reclaim his gold. Before moving ahead, Korpi pulled out the metal fragments lodged in his leg. Ignoring the pain, he cauterized the wound with fire and tightly bound it using a wire. Seeing all this, the pilot was completely terrified. After that, Korpi left his loyal dog behind and boarded the plane alone, setting off in search of Bruno. On the other hand, the Nazi soldiers came across a crashed plane on the way. To investigate, Wolf went inside the plane and saw that the pilot had died on the spot due to the crash. But then Wolf noticed a rope around the pilot's neck. It was the same rope they had used to hang Corpy. Seeing this, Wolf immediately realized that Corpy was still alive and would surely return to take revenge. Bruno also understood by now that Corpy was no ordinary man. Fear took over him, and because of this, Bruno ordered all his men to immediately retreat from that place. After this, we see two Nazi soldiers sitting in a truck with some Finnish women, talking among themselves about Corpy. Hearing their conversation, a woman named Aino started laughing. She told them that even the Russian soldiers had tried many times to kill Corpy, but no one had ever succeeded. Corpy always escaped from the biggest dangers and then returned to hunt down and kill his enemies. Aino further explained that in the Finnish language, Corpy is known as sisu, which means courage and unbreakable bravery, and now that very sisu would bring about their end. As she said this, a strange happiness appeared on her face. Suddenly, Corpy attacked one of the soldiers, killed him, and threw his body out of the truck. When the second soldier leaned out to see what had happened, Corpy grabbed him and dragged him down as well, crushing him under the tank like an insect. Aino tried to pick up the dead soldier's weapon, but at that very moment, Corpy climbed into the truck. Seeing the women of his own country, he understood that the Nazis had captured them by force and that they were all innocent. So Corpy handed weapons to the women. Then he climbed onto the roof of the truck, killed the driver, and threw him down. He told Aino to drive the truck so she could help him. Aino drove the truck closer to the tank, but the people inside the tank grew suspicious. To avoid being exposed, all the women used the dead soldiers' bodies to hide the truth. Then Aino drove her truck next to another truck. There, all the women opened indiscriminate fire on the soldiers inside, killing them brutally. They also shot the driver, causing the truck to roll off the road on its own. Meanwhile, Corpy was trying to break open the tank's gate when Bruno suddenly stopped the tank, causing Corpy to fall down. Seeing this, Wolf came out of the tank to kill Corpy. But Corpy quickly climbed back onto the tank, and a brutal fight broke out between him and Wolf. Both of them fell to the ground, and now only Bruno and a soldier named Schutz were left inside the tank. Schutz tried to escape to save his life. Corpy beat Wolf mercilessly, breaking his bones one by one. But before Corpy could kill him, two Nazi soldiers arrived on a bike. The moment they recognized Corpy, they fled in terror. Surprisingly, Corpy did not kill Wolf and left him alive. He then took the bike and chased after the tank. Wolf, lying there, kept thinking why that monster had spared his life. But shortly after, the Finnish women arrived to take revenge on Wolf. Meanwhile, Bruno met a pilot and planned to escape using his plane. The pilot told him that the plane only had space for one person. Hearing this, Bruno mercilessly shot his own companion, Schutz, and boarded the plane alone to escape. Just then, Corpy arrived and started firing heavily at the plane. As the plane began to take off, Corpy rushed directly beneath it and grabbed it using his small axe. Inside, Bruno believed he had finally left Corpy behind. But Corpy wasted no time. He climbed in through the wheel compartment and reached the bomb room floor. Hearing strange noises from inside, Bruno became suspicious. The pilot tried to calm him by saying that the plane was old and such sounds were normal. Still unconvinced, Bruno decided to check the bomb room himself. The moment he opened the door, Corpy lunged at him, and a terrifying fight broke out between the two. Due to his deep wounds, Corpy was weakening, and Bruno seemed to overpower him. But Corpy refused to give up. During the fight, Bruno struck him hard with a metal belt. Corpy grabbed the belt and tied it to a bomb. The very next moment, the bomb fell out of the plane, and Bruno fell along with it. A massive explosion followed, ending Bruno's story once and for all. For a brief moment, Corpy wanted peace. But suddenly, the plane lost control and began tilting rapidly downward. That's when Corpy realized that during the fight with Bruno, the pilot had been shot and had died. Now Corpy had no way out. Holding his gold tightly, he prepared himself for death. Moments later, the plane crashed straight into a swamp. At the same time, Finnish unit soldiers saw a Nazi tank approaching and prepared to attack. But soon they realized that the tank was actually carrying Finnish women who had tied Wolf on top of it. On the other side, we see that Corpy had survived the crash but was badly stuck in the swamp. Using his small axe, he somehow managed to pull himself out. A few days later, we see Corpy arriving at a bank in Helsinki with his loyal dog. The people inside the bank were terrified upon seeing him, but Corpy ignored them. He went straight to the counter, placed a piece of gold on the desk, and asked in a powerful voice, "How much money will I get for this?" If you like the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.